Hello, everyone. It's good to see some faces out there, especially McKenna's, since she's about the only person with her video on. But still excited to have everyone joining us and for the people that are coming in as we speak. This is, as always, an important topic, but I think this one is a little more special than most. And McKenna is exactly the person that we want to hear this from. Although really, right, any of our product trainers are amazing women who could tell us all about, right, how to optimize their girl power. But when it comes to physical accomplishments, right, McKenna puts most all of us, girls and boys, to shame. And something that I'm very excited about with this is I think that for a long time, the medical and nutritional supplement industry has been hyper focused on the male physical body, right? And creating the clinical studies and doing all the things to focus on how to get the most out of the human body, but leaning towards the male physiology. And well, there's something wrong with that because there's just as many women on earth as men, and they care just as much about feeling good, looking good, and getting the most out of the bodies that we have. And so this is something that's very important to understand. And to be honest, I didn't understand all the differences about how girls' bodies and boys' bodies are different and how they work with what you eat and how you exercise until I got married. But once I got married, right, I really started to understand that, wow, this isn't just the same sort of thing that's going on. It's not just do everything that a guy does and it's going to work the same, right? There's a lot more going on, and that needs to be taken into account. And the reason why I wanted McKenna to be the presenter for this topic, well, partly it's true. She's an amazing athlete, right? We've heard about how she's an incredibly fast runner. And in fact, just less than a month ago, I was driving down to the office with my wife, and we saw McKenna running down the road towards us. And we stopped and said hi. But the reason why this is so impressive, so amazing, is that you wouldn't know by looking at her video camera right now, but she is actually 8 months pregnant right now. And so she understands very well all the ins and outs that girls have to go through and get to go through that boys will never understand. But as a male, right, it's important that we do understand and that we know how we can help and support anyone. And of course, for all our females that are tuning in, I'm sure that you are also deeply interested to learn, right, what can we do to optimize that girl power? Anyway, I'm just super excited about this. I'm already talking too much, so I'll shut up now and give the time over to McKenna to teach us.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, I did it. Thank you for unmuting me. So Sam is right. Most studies have been done on men because their hormone fluctuations are not quite as confusing as women's. There's been a lot of studies to uncover what women go through, and we'll get more into that into the presentation. But right now I want to start with saying I am all about girl power. I'm so excited to talk to you women today about women and about your periods. And first, actually, I want to address the men in the audience. I want you to think of your closest female to you, your wife, your daughter, your girlfriend, a sister, your mom, even a client. And I won't be able to hear you, but I want you to say this sentence out loud. Say the woman's name and then say has a period. So I have a period. Half the population has a period. And if you feel uncomfortable saying it, then this presentation is for you, okay? This topic is something that needs to be talked about more so we can better understand half of the human population, just as what Sam was saying. So in the last 50 or 30 to 50 years, women have been getting the equivalent of this: shrink it and pink it. This is a huge disservice to women. All we are getting is a pretty colored package with less calories. You can see it on these bars. Really, that what they're advertising is less calories, like we're just small men. And they think that we have the same response to nutrition as men do, but we just need to eat less. And this is wrong. We have hormonal fluctuations monthly. And while men's hormonal fluctuation plays out over 50 years, right, ours is changing every month. And that makes a huge difference into how you respond to food, exercise, and stress. So we're gonna look at some of those key differences in men and women. So here's our men versus women chart. These are key differences in men and women concerning nutrition. Men return to a metabolic baseline after 24 or 21 hours, okay? Your metabolism ramps up after exercise to refuel the muscles that you break down. So returning to the baseline is just less efficiency in getting nutrients and glycogen to your muscles, and you don't burn as many calories, right? So men return to their baseline after 21 hours. Women return to their metabolic baseline after about 3 hours. Okay, that means that men have 18 more hours in their recovery phase to continue burning fat, to eat without the risk of storing as much fat with the food that they're eating. We're very different as women. That's a huge difference. The next thing is men have larger type 2 fibers. So these are your quick twitch fibers, which mean you have greater power generating capacity available to them. While women, on the other hand, their type 1 fibers are larger. So women are better suited to aerobic or endurance sports. It's actually really cool. There's a swim from the coast of California to Catalina Island. It's a 22-mile open water swim. And the women's times average over 7 minutes faster than the men's times. So we're built for the long endurance events. So let's look at what else. Because of these type 2 fibers, men are more efficient at burning carbs during the workout, okay? But women are more efficient at burning fat and sparing glucose during the workout. And then post-workout, it reverses. So men are more efficient at burning fat post-workout, and women are more efficient at burning carbs post-workout. The next difference is men have less of a stress response in a fasted state. So this has to do with your cortisol levels, is what they call them. That what kind of controls the stress in your body. And that's a hormone that controls that stress. And women have a response that is elevated in a fasted state. So it's very, very important for us to get even 100 calories before you work out, because elevated cortisol levels are going to cause more stress, and it's also going to cause more insulin resistance, which is going to affect your nutrition. So with all this being said, we are trainable as women, okay? It may seem like this is a lot of negative things, because these are the natural tendencies of men and the natural tendencies of women. And listing these facts might make women seem limited, but actually understanding them opens up possibilities for women to thrive, okay? And that's called biohacking. And like Sam mentioned in the beginning, I have done this myself. I've biohacked, and I can say that I could beat the majority of men in fitness, but it just, you just have to understand what you're doing with your nutrition. All right, so let's look more into that. First, let's talk about the history of women in fitness, okay? Let me be clear though, my emphasis on fitness applies to everybody, applies to all women. You don't have to be an elite athlete to apply this to your life. It's so important to be in tune with your body, and fitness helps you do that. But it can be fitness at all levels. Fitness is just a lens into which we can study more of what goes on in the female physiology. So the history of women in fitness. Okay, this is another reason we don't quite understand quite as much, and there's still a lot of myths that go prolong into women's fitness, because women have come a long way in a short amount of time. Men have been encouraged to be physically fit since the beginning of mankind, right? In order to hunt, prepare for battle, competitions, while women, on the other hand, were encouraged to be dainty or ladylike, and were considered to be weak, frail, and vulnerable. Okay, so it wasn't until recent decades that women were encouraged to participate in some type of physical activity. Okay, this was in the 1960s that women were told their bodies couldn't handle exercise. Rumors even went so far as to say exercise would make women barren, turn them into a lesbian, or make it impossible for them to find a husband. I don't even know what that means. It boggles my mind. But this is in the 1970s and 80s. Women were finally encouraged to do enough exercise so that they would be long and lean. It was a trend towards the right direction, but still they didn't want women to be too muscular, right? So we're just now encouraging women to have more longevity with stronger muscles. And you guys, this was not a long time ago. This is in the 60s and 70s. And women are still shamed about exercising. So it's a wonder that there's a lot of misinformation floating around women's health. This is Paula Radcliffe, okay? She is a British marathoner. And right before a championship race, the British marathon team was given an option to take a synthetic progesterone drug. Okay, this drug is designed to delay your menstrual period. And Paula's teammate, Jessica Judd, she decided to take the drug. Okay, Radcliffe, the one that featured in this picture, she did not take the drug. And Judd, who took the drug and thus was certainly not menstruating during the race, lost to Radcliffe, who had decided not to take the drug, and she broke the world record while suffering from menstrual cramps, okay, during the race. This woman was on her period during the race, and this surprises a lot of people. Everyone thinks you are weakest on your period because of the cramps that are happening. And it's 2020, and a lot of even women don't understand that when you're on your period, you're actually in a really good point to exercise strong, which we will go into more. But this is still not common knowledge of how hormones are affecting women every month. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper. I love talking about this stuff. So women's hormonal cycle. Okay, like I mentioned before, even a lot of women don't understand what their body is going through every month. So we want to break down the menstrual cycle to help everyone understand what women are going through. So even if you're a woman, you might learn a little more about what you've been going through every month. So this is a healthy menstrual cycle. And I'm going to use the word healthy because there are going to be women whose cycles vary from the norm. But for right now, we're going to concentrate on the averages of the majority of women. All right. So the first part of the phase is the menstrual phase. Okay, this is where you are bleeding. There's a drop in estrogen and progesterone, so that drops the lining of the uterus, and you bleed for 3 to 7 days. Like I said, it's going to vary between every woman, but we're just going to do some averages. So then you have the follicular phase. And in the follicular phase, most women feel their best. okay? Right after they're done with their period, the estrogen and testosterone is building. So this lasts for maybe about a week, depending on the woman. And then you have an ovulation phase, okay? And in the ovulation phase, right, the egg is released, and usually this is about midway through the cycle, so about 14 days. And this is a peak level of hormones, okay? And you also have a higher sex drive, right? Because you want to reproduce. And then you have the luteal phase. So in the luteal phase, the hormones are geared toward getting the uterus ready for pregnancy. Okay, so they're high. You have high hormones here. And there's an imbalance of estrogen and progesterone, and that's what's going to bring on the PMS symptoms, such as bloating, the irritation, anxiety, mood swings, cravings, okay? That's all from the imbalance of estrogen and progesterone. So let's break this down, or I guess not break it down further, but let's group this together and make it a little simpler. So we're going to call the first two phases the low hormone phase. So this is the menstrual and the follicular phase. And this is your period and the week following your period. So remember, low hormone phase. And in the low hormone phase, women are better able to access carbohydrates. You can hit high intensity workouts better. You have more sodium circulating in the body, so you're better hydrated. And your core temperature is lower. So in this phase, it's easier to follow what has been recommended in the past. Okay, this is when women this is when they start something new, they feel energized, you start a new diet, and things are working really well, okay? Then we have the high hormone phase. Okay, and this is where things get confusing for women. So this is the luteal and ovulation phase. So 2 weeks before your next period. So the second part of the phase, this is the high hormone phase, or the first part, wherever you want to start in the phase. But this phase of the cycle is where women get really frustrated in their everyday lives because there seems to be this plateau they just can't get around. This is where we are most different from our male counterparts. Okay, so let's look at that. So estrogen inhibits carbohydrate utilization. We're going to have slower recovery for your workouts because there's increased inflammation. You're going to have a higher core temperature. So, you know, those heat flashes, you just feel a little warmer. And there's less water in the blood. So you're dehydrated and you don't even know it. And there's increased fat storage. Okay? So this is the high hormone phase. Let's take a look now at some of the high hormone phase problems. Tell me if you can relate to this. I know I can relate to all of these. You can't seem to stick to a new and healthy way of eating. Your body stops giving you the good results to that same diet, and you plateau and losing weight. Okay, your male counterpart continues making progress when yours stops. I've had so many friends complain about this, where their male counterpart seems to drop weight like that, and for some reason they can't drop 1 or 2 pounds, okay? Your motivation for the workout falls away. So you're a bit more tired, you just don't really feel like working out or pushing as hard. And you feel too tired to bounce back for another workout. And the last one, you begin losing control of your mood, right? You're like, why am I so irritated? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm about to start my period. It's that week. Okay. So looking at this high hormone phase again, we want to clue into all of these things and see what's happening in that 2 weeks before your next period and see how we can lower the negative effects of all these factors. Okay. And we're going to do that by supplementing correctly. So with estrogen inhibiting your carbohydrate utilization, Bio's Life E is going to help with that, all right? Slower recovery from workouts, Omega Life 3 is going to help with that. And Bio's Life E, all right? Higher core temperature, Omega Life 3 is going to help. Less water in the blood, Omega Life 3 is going to help, as well as hydration, and increased fat storage, BioLife E is going to help. So again, we want to clue into these. You want to learn when you are feeling these things so that you can supplement correctly. All right, BioLife E. We love BioLife E. It gives us that boost, that energy, but there's more to it than just the caffeine. All right. Matcha green tea is the main ingredient in our BioLife E. Let's see what matcha green tea does. So it enables that beneficial metabolic response. So remember, a woman's metabolic response after working out returns to the baseline after 3 hours. For men, it returns after 21 hours. All right. So we want to enable a beneficial metabolic response, and green tea is going to help you with that. You're going to decrease your starch digestion and absorption, meaning your body is going to be able to use the carbohydrates even during the high hormone phase, when your body otherwise would be trying to store fat. So it inhibits the fat storage. So again, that increase in metabolic response. So you're using your carbs and fat. And then it also has a lot of electrolytes that are going to help make the most of your water. So when you're in that dehydrated state, you really need electrolytes that help make the most of the water that is there. So this increase in metabolic response is going to help you burn carbs, okay? All of those things, which is what we're not so good at doing after the workout. Okay, it also has L-Carnitine. So this is a powerhouse amino acid in the mitochondria, and it boosts fat burning, okay? And it also reduces glycogen utilization in the muscles during exercise, meaning not only are you going to burn a more regular amount of carbohydrates, but you'll also burn more fat during the post-exercise. Okay, so again, this is just helping you use the fat that is locked away. So green tea also has L-theanine, and this helps your stress response, so your cortisol levels that are a bit more sensitive than a man's. So this is the amino acid in green tea. It's going to produce that relaxation effect without causing drowsiness. And this is going to cause the reduction in stress, which less stress means less inflammation caused by the cortisol. And too much cortisol can lead to insulin resistance. So I mentioned this before, but if you have too much of a cortisol buildup, right, you're not going to process carbs very well. Okay, so it's just exacerbating the problem of not being able to process carbs when you need it. So we want less stress, less cortisol. You want a little bit of cortisol, but not too much, okay? But less is better. All right, so our BioLife E summary. We want to take it in the morning with a few calories, okay? Because we don't want to be in a fasted state for too long. And that's going to balance your cortisol levels, so less of that stress response. We want to take it before a workout to better use the carbs we eat, especially in that high hormone phase, right? When we're most different, we're most feeling frustrated about not getting results. And then you also, from taking it from before the workout, it's going to help you burn fat longer even after the workout. Okay, so it'll still be present in your bloodstream, helping you burn fat. Now let's look at Omega Life 3. Okay, you guys know omega-3 is one of the best products. And we want to talk about how it's going to help you in the high hormone phase. So you'll see maybe some new stuff. Hopefully you'll learn some new facts about Omega Life 3 and how it's going to help you. So the key ingredients, we know about this one, but I'm going to go over them again, so stay tuned. So we have EPA and DHA, which goes to the resolvins, okay? And that creates lower inflammation. And what does that help with? That's going to help with sports performance, cognition, eye health, brain health, joint health, heart health, and mood. Okay, so many things that inflammation affects. And omega-3 helps, okay? And we have very pure EPA and DHA in the omega-3. So let's look at those problems again. In the EPA, with EPA and DHA, in the high hormone phase, we have slower recovery from workouts, okay? And the solution from EPA and DHA is the resolvins are gonna aid in lower inflammation in those muscles. So you're gonna feel a bit fresher. Estrogen builds and then cramps are looming, okay? This is also the week before your period, right? And then on your period when you have those cramps that are not making you feel good. The solution, okay? There's gonna be less inflammation in the uterus. So your cramps are less severe because of this EPA and DHA. So omega-3 also has L-Arginine, okay? And arginine, let's see how it helps with the high hormone phase. So we have less plasma volume. This is a fancy way of saying you're dehydrated, okay? And you don't even know it. You have sensors in there so you don't feel like you're thirsty all the time. And L-Arginine helps because it dilates and relaxes the arteries. And with that increase of blood flow, you're going to be able to get more water throughout your body. So also, you have a higher core temperature in that high hormone phase. So L-Arginine is going to take that heat, that blood away from the core and move it to other working limbs that need the blood flow during the workout. Plus, increasing blood flow starts sweating earlier, which cools you down, which is another difference between men and women. Women start sweating later than men. And sweating, as gross as some people may think it is actually a very effective method in cooling you down. So you want to sweat quickly because it cools you down. It's a really cool process. Okay, the next problem. Estrogen can inhibit muscle growth, and L-Arginine helps protein synthesis, so that muscle repair. It's going to help with that muscle growth. And then we have vitamin E. Okay, vitamin E is a special ingredient in our omega-3. And in the high hormone phase, we have, again, that inflammation in the high hormone phase, and that causes low performance. And vitamin E supports the EPA and DHA to produce resolvins. It's kind of like a catalyst, okay? Also, we have those period cramps and heavy bleeding. If some women experience that more than others, but that is going to inhibit some women from the work they have to do or the workouts they want to do. And vitamin E helps. When taken with EPA and DHA, you can take it 2 days before the bleeding and 3 days into your period, and it helps reduce the pain and the blood loss. So it helps with blood loss, which is incredible. So in summary, Omega Life 3 has that EPA and DHA. It's going to lower your inflammation, less fatigue in workouts. L-Arginine, okay, increases your blood flow and aids in that protein synthesis. And the vitamin E reduces menstrual blood loss and provides pain relief. So we want to take omega-3 consistently in the high hormone phase to reduce the negative effects. And as Sam mentioned before, I am 8 months pregnant. I have been taking Omega Life 3 religiously. Being pregnant, I am mostly in the high hormone phase, okay? So you deal with the high hormone phase pretty much the whole 9 months, as some of you may know. And Omega Life 3 has helped ease so many of the symptoms, okay? With I've been able to work out consistently and been able to have that increased blood flow and be able to enjoy life a bit more because of Omega Life 3, which has been awesome. And lastly, I just want to reiterate that this is for you guys to uncover the strength it takes to be a woman, okay? These are not weaknesses if we use them right. You do not have to fall victim to the monthly hormone fluctuations. So you can work with your physiology. So you can use Resolv E to decrease that fat storage and utilize your carbohydrate uptake. Use omega-3 Life Resolv to decrease that inflammation and heavy bleeding. And then most importantly, I hope you guys take the time to understand the amazing functions of the female physiology to help you or a loved one progress in their endeavors. Because once you understand this, you can apply principles to overcome them, or to aid your progress and your goals and what you're reaching for. So I hope that helped enlighten what a lot of women are going through. And thank you for letting me present to you guys.
Wow, thank you very much, McKenna. That was so interesting. I thought I'd learned a lot about the female body, and right, my wife has a period, and I learned a lot in the last year, but this has been so much more informational and helped me understand. I'm gonna have to make sure that she watches the recording, because I think she would love it, and she wasn't able to be here at this time, although she is a huge fan of McKenna's. But I'm certain that there are quite a few questions, and so we've opened up the chat now for everyone, and we do want to take some time so that anyone that has questions about this topic can talk to McKenna, ask those, and she'll work her way through these and try to get to as many as she can.
All right, great question to start out with. Because I wish I had more time to talk about more supplements. And you can honestly group a lot of the supplements together that will still help. And Unimate and Resolv E kind of go together. There's going to be a little bit of differences, but Unimate helps a ton in the high hormone phase. Okay, it's again, still has those antioxidants. It's going to help elevate your mood when your mood seems to be going down low. So Unimate is a beneficial tool to use in that high hormone phase. Okay, so what about perimenopause and menopause condition? Okay, so things change a bit more after the reproductive cycle years. Okay, you go into the menopause years. And I would have to do a whole nother presentation on that. But I could list some principles that will help. You're just a bit more sensitive to digesting fructose. You should up your protein intake a bit more and eat a lot less refined grains. And usually that helps women get over a lot of the menopause symptoms. Those are just a few things. I wish I could name more, but are there any other questions?
Yeah, let's hope that we take advantage, especially us guys out there, because this is a great time to open up and ask McKenna questions about things that maybe we'd normally not feel comfortable asking someone about.
Okay, 2 questions on chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is awesome because of what it does in the blood system, right? It helps transport out toxins, and that's huge for when there's an imbalance in hormones. We want to be able to transport those out, okay? Especially when they're running through the blood and causing your PMS symptoms. Chlorophyll can help aid in transporting those out of your system. So that's how chlorophyll would help. When you have, sorry, I should emphasize, it's when you have an imbalance or too much of it, which can often happen with the common diet today. Really skews with a lot of women's hormones, and there needs to be more balance for them. Okay, and what about pregnant women besides omega-3? You might want to talk to your doctor about that. I can only speak from personal experience. I did use Unimate and Resolv E and matcha through the beginning of my pregnancy. But it was more so going off of it because of the caffeine, that was just a personal choice. It's not that caffeine's bad. I've had runner friends take caffeine through their whole pregnancy. I just wanted to let my adrenal glands rest a little bit. So you can take those things and have a safe pregnancy. But again, possibly talk to your doctor first. Would the presence of caffeine in Bioslife E have a negative effect on the fetus? Oh, okay. No. People have so far, no one knows. No one has uncovered any negative effects. A lot of women take caffeine during their pregnancies. The general rule of thumb is to keep it under 200 to 300 milligrams a day, and there's definitely under that in Bioslife E and Unimate and Matcha. So if you took 1 packet a day, you wouldn't be doing any harm.
One question I have, in case some people are still thinking though, I don't know, not really a specific question, but one of the topics you talked about, McKenna, really stood out to me about how there's this period of the woman's cycle where kind of her ability to see progress in losing weight or things can really slow down or even stall, which I know that for me and my wife Celeste has been super frustrating. It was like just 2 days ago that I finished, a week of being very strict, and I was like, wow, I lost, 2.1 kilos in that week. And she was so angry. She's like, I've been trying for a month to lose 2 kilos. And so I'm just curious, what other things would you recommend for someone to do, especially during that, when they hit that phase where you feel more bloated and you're not seeing progress, to keep going and not get frustrated or give up?
Yeah. So first, you do have to understand, if you were to look at the same size woman and the same size man, a woman has a smaller heart than the man does. And so, and with a lot of things, she has less arteries to things. And so the same amount of effort is going to be a bit different for the man and the woman. And especially in that high hormone phase, when you're not utilizing carbs very well, you're a bit more dehydrated. The dehydration thing is actually a really big deal to help with metabolic function. And when you, sorry, I did mention this, but it's not like you feel more thirsty. You are just, your plasma level is lower. And so when you just have to be more conscious of possibly drinking more chicken broth or sodium laced beverages to help increase that plasma and fluid. And then the other thing would be to change the macros. So like I said, in that low hormone phase, it's a lot easier to eat like a man's macros, right? A bit more carbs, you digest the carbs better. And women work really well off of carbs. So you still want to eat carbs, but just keep it really like unrefined carbs and a bit more protein during that high hormone phase. Sorry, that kind of went tangent, but
yeah. That's so interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll let you get to those last couple questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, so is dehydration a reason why there is water retention during PMS? Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Totally. The dehydration causes water retention. It seems like it would be the opposite, but you actually want to be drinking a ton of water to keep things flowing so things don't sit. Okay, and that's what causes bloating. That's what causes fat feet. And so being aware of that hydration and being able to, like I just mentioned to Sam, drink more sodium laced beverages such as broth. That's like an awesome source of hydration. that will help those symptoms a lot. And then, is caffeine a diuretic? Yes, I'm pretty sure caffeine helps the digestive system move along a bit more. I think people use it for that.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, McKenna, for answering so many questions, teaching us such interesting information. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.
We're giving you 20 more minutes, and I know that a lot of you will say, hey, Sam, we want the full hour of training, but we're going to be taking up an extra 2 hours of your time this weekend with our big recognition event. And so we want to give you these 20 minutes, and we'll see you on Friday night for this very special event where we're going to have Stuart speaking. We're going to have Bobby and Christopher and Kumpepsi, and most especially recognizing a lot of you for what the work that you've done this year. So see everyone Friday. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you again, McKenna, and adios.